Do you know how by using a very simple method of Java you can format your output? For example, you can format this output to this value. If no, then this video is made for you. But before we start, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Let's start. Now we all know if we have to print something on console using Java, you can simply use print or println statement. But what if we want to format that output? Now for that specific purpose, printf method was introduced in Java 5 using which we can simply format our output. Now consider this example where we are doing a computation of 10,000 divided by 3 and then we are storing that result in a double variable. If we simply use our system.out.print statement, then you will get a result something like this, like 4 times 3 dot and then many threes, like many digits after the decimal number. Suppose we want to format this one. What we can do, we can use this printf statement, which will first take the formatting that we want to give and then the value that you want to format. What I'm doing here is I'm indicating this using percentage sign. And don't worry, we will discuss the syntax later. Just for showing the example, we are giving a percentage sign and then we are saying f, which indicates whenever we get this percentage sign, this statement will expect an argument there. So I'm giving this percentage sign, it will say, okay, I am expecting an argument, which is f, which means it is a float. Now, when we do this system.out.printf percentage f and then this x value, it will print something like this. Now you might wonder why we are getting only this 6 threes after the decimal point, because this is a default precision for float. Now, if we want to format this result further and we want to say like I just want 2 digits after the decimal places, what you can do, you can simply give it here as point, which means decimal, and then you can say how many digits you want after this decimal. Like here I'm saying as 0.2, which means that after decimal I just want 2 digits. And if I execute this statement, what it will do, it will take this result, it will take just 2 digits after the decimal and then it will print something like 3333.33. Now you can supply multiple parameters to the printf statement. Consider this example system.out.printf. Here you can see that I'm using this percentage s and percentage d, which means I'm using two format specifiers here. And therefore I'm using two arguments, one name and the second one is age. And as I said that as soon as the percentage sign is encountered in printf statement, it will expect an argument. As I'm using 2 times this percentage sign, I'm expecting 2 arguments there. Now you can notice at one point I'm using S and at the second point I'm using D. Why there's a difference? Because these are two different kind of variables. Percentage S indicates that in the first argument of this printf statement I'm expecting a string, and percentage D indicates that in the second arguments I'm expecting an integer. Now what are these different kind of format specifiers? We can see in the next slide. So D indicates an integer, F is a floating point number, S is a string, C is a character, and B is a boolean. So suppose in the previous slide, if I wanted to use here as a boolean, then I would replace this D with a B, but then this age could be true or false, not an integer. Now remember this point very clearly. Suppose if you're using this here as D and then in age you are specifying a floating point number, then definitely you are going to get an exception in your code. So these are the different kind of format specifiers which we are going to see in our practical section. Now let's move to our next section, which is adding flags. Now what does flags do? It will control the appearance of your formatted output. There are different kind of flags. Suppose you want to add a group separator. Now if your result was like 3333.33, what you want to do, you want to add a comma after these 3 digits. How you can do is you can simply add a flag comma. And where do you add it? You add between this percentage sign and this format specifier, which is f in this case. Now after percentage sign, if I add this comma, what it will do, it will transform my result. It will add a comma after these 3 digits. Now as this is my negative number, If I want to enclose negative numbers within parentheses, what I can do, I can use the flag as left parenthesis. Now, if I do this left parenthesis, I can simply transform my output, and if it is a negative number, it will be enclosed within the parentheses. Now, you can use multiple flags together. Here, if you can see, I'm using two flags. One is like left parenthesis, and the second one is comma. What these flags will do, left parenthesis will transform, will enclose my negative number within these two parentheses, and this comma will add a group separator. Now, this, if you don't want to print these transformations or like print these formatting, and you just want to store that formatted string into a variable, you can simply use a string format method. What it will do, it will transform, it will format your string, and then it will save this in your string variable. We are going to see, of course, that also in our practical section. But now let's move to the syntax. What is the syntax for this formatting of output? It starts with this percentage sign and it ends with this conversion character. What is this conversion character? It is the same format specifier, like the D for the integer, F for the float, S for a string, C for character. So everything that will be there, it will be between these two things, like percentage and the conversion character. Here in an example, we have saved this like double X as minus 10,000 by 3.0. So every formatting that I'm going to do, it will be between this percentage and F. F is my format specifier, which says that it is a floating point number. After the percentage sign, you can add flags and you can add multiple flags. That's why I'm shown this as a loop. So you can add one flag and then you can add another flag, another flag. In this example, I'm just using one flag, which is like left parenthesis, which will transform my negative number. So it will enclose my negative number into the two parentheses. After the flag, you can add a width. What is width? It will tell how big your result will be. In this result, I'm specifying the width as 13, which means if my result is like just this 4 or 6 characters, it will pre-fill that with spaces. So my complete result will be 13. And also remember that these two parentheses and this dot will also be added in the width of the result. Now, when I'm specifying this as 13, it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 threes, which is 8, and this parenthesis 9. So it got pre-filled with 4 spaces. Now, if you want to pre-fill this with 4 zeros, what you can do, you can simply use this 0, which is like it will add the leading zeros. In the practical session, we will do this. We will print this statement and then we'll simply use the zeros. So then you can see that those 4 spaces are still left to cover that 13 width that we have specified. It will be pre-filled with the zeros. Now, after this width, you can add this precision. And for adding the precision, you have to add this dot. Now, what I'm saying that add a precision of 2, which is like how many digits will be there after the decimal. I'm specifying it as 2, so there will be 2 digits after the decimal. And to use that precision, I have to use this dot operator. So what is my formatting? Plus percentage, then left parenthesis, then 13 is the width, then I'm using a precision of 2, and then this is my floating point number. So it will result this as, it will, there will be 4 spaces because to cover my entire width of 13, and then my result will be enclosed between these parentheses, and then there will be just 2 numbers after the decimal. So this covers the theory part for formatting output in Java. Let's move to the practical session. Now let's start with the practical for formatting. So for that, I've created a formatting class and then I added a main method. There I've defined a variable x, which is like minus 10,000 by 3.0. Now first, let's we show if we don't use this formatting and we just use this print statement, what it will do. So I'm running this code, it's building, and it will give you something like this. Now, what I want to do, I want to format this output. And first, let's say like percentage and then say F. Now, as I have given percentage, it will expect an argument, floating point number. I'll give this as X, and then you can see a default precision, which will be like 6 digits after the decimal. So I'll print this. The code is running, and you can see that it printed this -3333 and then 6 places after the decimal, which is a kind of default. Now, what you want to do, you want to specify a flag which says that enclose my negative number. Like if it is a negative number, then it should be enclosed within the parentheses. And for that, I added this flag, left parenthesis between this percentage and F sign. So let me run this code again, and then you can see that negative sign will be removed and then it will be enclosed within these parentheses. So you can see this. It is enclosed within the parentheses. Now what I want, that next thing that I want is, I want this precision to be just 2 digits. So what I can do after the flag, what I can do to use the precision, first I have to give this dot, and then let's say I want to give precision as 2. Now what should happen? It should give me this output like within these parentheses, but the number of digits after the decimal, it should be limited to 2. So let's run this code. Now, when I run this code, you can see the number of digits after this dot is 2. Now, suppose you have to specify a particular width for your result. So, in my result, what I'm going to do after this flag, I'm going to specify that my results width should be 13. So what it will do, whatever is this length, it will pre-fill the length with spaces so that the entire length of the result will become as spaces. So this length, if you can see here, it is of 9 characters. And to make the length as 13, it will pre-fill it with 4 spaces. So if I run this code now, it is building, and then it pre-fills it with 4 spaces. You cannot count it here, but if you do like this, you can see here as 13 characters. Now, suppose you want to replace these spaces with zero, so you have to put it with leading zeros. What you can do in the flags, you can specify as 0. If you will remember the slide, in the flag we had one flag as 0, which will pre-fill it the result with leading zeros. So let's run this code, and you can see that it pre-filled the result with zeros. Now suppose you don't have to print this formatted string, instead you have to save this in a string variable. What you can do, I'm going to declare a variable string result, and I'm going to use a string method string.format, and simply whatever we have used the formatting, I'm going to put it here. So what it does, it will take the formatting as the first argument and the value that needs to be formatted at the second argument. And I'm going to print our result here. So both should be the same. Let's run this code. It's building, and then you can see that both results are same. Now the next thing that I want to show is how to use multiple format specifiers in your single printf statement. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say first I'm going to use this print statement, and then I'm going to use this my name is, and then I'm going to say percentage s. So as I use this percentage sign, it's expecting an argument, and as I use s, it is expecting a string argument. So I'm going to use string name is equal to quotation, and I'm going to use this here as name, and then I'm going to say result is, and this result is double, so I'm just going to use this percentage f. Now as this percentage sign is encountered, it is expecting another argument. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say X. So this is the way you can use multiple format specifiers in your printf statement. You can simply just use this percentage sign and then give a format specifier, and in the argument give that corresponding variable. So let me print this. It should say that my name is quotation, result is this double x, whatever the result it will be, without any formatting. So it prints like this. Now remember, this format specifiers or these conversion characters, these are important. Now suppose here instead of f, if I give as d, then what will happen? It will give me an exception because I'm saying that I'm expecting an integer value and then I'm passing a floating point value as the argument. So let's run this code. It should give us an exception. It's building, and then you can see that I get an exception because I'm passing a double value and then I'm saying that I'm expecting an integer. So this brings us to the end of this video where we discuss about the printf statement and the string.format methods. We did both the theory and the practical. If you like the video, hit the like button, do share it with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel Quotation. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.